you do not necessarily feel like a perfume that you smell for the first time. You have to associate with something else. You accept it for what it is. So the senses really are always ready to discover, to accept new challenges, new frontiers, new experiences, but the eyes are not. The eyes, I think, have suffered from an unfair enslavement between cognition and vision. I think that what art does for us is really be able to address that relationship and be able to unplug, to be able to free the eyes to enjoy the experience of seeing. I mean, it only takes looking at something with the corner of your eye, and immediately your process of cognition takes over, and you classify it in all sorts of ways. In history, if you see a table, you know if it's a modern table, if it's an antique, you know if it's a coffee table function, coffee, writing, dining, etc. So function, history, material, if it's safe to stand or sit on a chair or not. We're always, our vision has been hijacked by our cognitive process to such an extent that we are constantly trying to make sure we know what we're looking at. Even when we look at clouds, we're always saying, well, no, it looks like an elephant, no, it looks like a bird, no, it looks like this other thing. And we are very, very hard-pressed to accept things for what they are with our vision, and rightfully so. I mean, if the knives are coming at you, you don't want to think they're triangles. You got to get out of the way. So, you know, your cognition has to be there, getting you through. There's something called proprioception, which is the process of the body of coordinating all the senses. So you want to be able to have that on most of the time, because otherwise you couldn't drive, you couldn't do multitasks, and we do that. But it's unfair that the eyes don't get to unplug and just enjoy. So artists use all sorts of this word totally blew my mind. Augenweide, the place where the eyes feast. What are some of the strategies that artists use to address this? I mean, how do we? They're no different from any of the strategies that we use in our daily life, because we all are dealing with visual choices constantly. What we're going to wear, how we decorate our homes, how we buy a product in the store. There's a constant decision on how to manipulate your eyes to see something, to drive your vision away from something else. We know it all too well with clothing, for example. You know, the length of a hemline, the color of a tie, the accent of an earring. You know, we're always constantly making decisions to shift focal point from one area to another, and oftentimes to deceive, to drive it away from something, you know, to say, like, you know, I don't really want people to look at this, I'm going to wear this other thing, and so on and so forth. We do it constantly. It's no different than what the rest of us do in the world of painting. The issue of space, for example, you know, we have a paradox with painting. We're doing a visual art that really is flat. The painting, you cannot put your hand through it. It's not like a sculpture. It's not three-dimensional. So there's no such thing as empty space in a painting. Even if it's a big piece of white space, the painting is never, ever empty. So what happens? That we are constantly looking for ways to fool the eye into creating the illusion of three dimension. Edgar Degas, the French painter, said that the making of a painting necessitates as much deception as the commission of a crime. You're putting there a still life, apples that cannot feed you, wine jugs that cannot make you happy, you know, and things like that. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's the art of illusion. It's the art of creating, making something be there which is not there. That's all what painting is about. And our own faith in believing that by looking at this thing, we're enjoying it almost as if we enjoy the real thing. But what is paradoxic about it is that what we really want is to reach beyond the visible into the invisible. I think that there we can draw, like Christina drew a little bit in her lecture, a parallel between religion and art. The idea that we're going to come together and look at something, and we're going to be able to transcend somewhere else by working with the subject, by creating it, by enjoying it, by looking at it, by having it, just like we do with music or with some of the other senses. I grew up as a Catholic boy. I was an altar boy. I was a good boy until 13, and then but when you look at the Catholic Mass, I remember, I think it was one of Marina's friends, my daughter here, who was not Catholic, was brought to a Catholic Mass. And when the priest is doing the wine and he's doing the bread, he said, "Daddy, what is that?" It's, "Well, that's the blood of Christ, that's the body of Christ." They're going drinking and eating. He said, "My God, these people are savages, You're eating and drinking the body and the blood of a human being." So what does that say? That say that, it has to do with faith. If you don't put the faith into it, that something transcends, that is just histrionics, it's just the illusion of the eye, the pleasure of the eye, to transcend into another realm, then, we are living in a world where 2 plus 2 is only 4 always. And that is, of course, not the case. There's certainly more than meets the eye, and that's exactly what art tries to create. Art tries to transcend into. So I really invite you all, not only through art, but through our daily lives, to look at a person as if you see them for the first time. That's why, I go back to traveling. That's why I go on sabbatical to these strange places, to sort of experience some things as if you never saw them before. The circle of an eye, the triangle of a leg, the pleasure of, the texture of the grass, and so on, and forgetting whether it's grass or legs or eyes or what it is. I mean, the most important things in life obviously are invisible. Love, who's ever seen it? I'd like somebody to show it to me, God, all these great concepts that are completely invisible concepts. That is hopefully what music, what painting, what literature, what film brings to the fold, to be able to engage into the world in a kind of maybe mystical or transcendental way, and without that, forget it, it's not worth it. So that's, I want to be just brief and end it there, but thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you, because you make it evening.
Dorta is the best. Here's to Dorta.
Time maybe to have a little champagne
and jazz
and to have a little jazz, what I promise. It's the first time in my life that not that I listen, but that I would ask somebody to play this in my house, because the tradition was only classical music, and it was the lute and the guitar and the oud and the cello and the violin and art. And therefore I'm connected with Chiesa and with my art.
And what a great roundaround from Berlin to you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Augenweide. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. She's precious. Oh, thank you.